Hi, folks. We'll get started in a moment. I see we have a few folks watching. There's a chat screen over to the right. Feel free to chat. And if you want to join the Google Hangout, you can actually click on the link over to the right in the live chat box to join the Hangout. All right, well, it's 9 o'clock, so we'll begin our first conversation. It looks like we have Michelle joined us. Hi, Michelle.
Hey, how are you?
All right, well, it's 9 o'clock, so we'll begin our first conversation. It looks like we have Michelle joined us. Hi, Michelle.
Hey, how are you?
All right, well, it's 9 o'clock, so we'll begin our first conversation. Let me try to shut off that echo that I'm getting. Hi, Michelle.
Hey, how are you?
All right, well, it's 9 o'clock, so all right, and I am going to mute you, Michelle, for now, so I'm not getting the feedback. Let's see if that does it. And looks like we see Lynn Bernardin. So she says, will this be taped so we can watch it later? It will be. And Tracy Enos jumped on board as well. So good morning, Tracy. And feel free, if you want to join us via the Google Hangout link, you can do that. So really what I wanted to do today was really just show us and start a conversation regarding a new tool that we have available to us that's part of our library management tool, Destiny Discover. Hey, Adam, how you doing?
All right, how are you?
Good. So we're just getting started. We have a few people following the YouTube feed, and a few of us are in the call right now. So if you have any questions as we go, feel free to interrupt. I want this to be kind of really meaningful for folks, so I don't want it to be just me kind of spewing kind of talking and just going through. I really want folks to be able to say, hey, wait a minute, what do you mean by that? Or, oh, I could use it in this way in my classroom. So I'm going to talk about the tool called Collections, and it's part of our Destiny Discover application, which we all have access to through our Follett library system, our library management system. So I think the best way for me to kind of do this is to jump into collections and give you a brief overview of what they are, and then we can talk about how to kind of create collections and what and the process for that. So I'm going to share my screen. And so what everyone on the YouTube feed will see is this is my collections, actually. So my collections are exactly what it sounds like. It's a collection. And when you first log into collections, and I'll show you the process for doing that, when you first log in, you'll actually see a couple of layers of collections. There's this layer of collection that says collections from RICAT. So the first thing that will happen is if you have collections for just your school, which may be something that the high school wants just high school teachers to have access to, you'll actually see that above this level that says collections from West Warwick High School, right? And then below that, you'll see collections from RICAT. And RICAT is the consortium that all elementary, middle, and high schools belong to regarding the library tool that we use. So we're all centrally housed at a server in the East Bay that's called RICAT or RILink. And then we have what's called public collections. And public collections are just that. They're collections that have been created and people have granted access to other people to see. So I'm going to go to my private collections, and I have 12 private collections that I've built so far. And one of the private collections that I've built is getting started using collections in Destiny Discover. So I'll start with this one, and then I'll show you an example of a third grade science unit, and then we'll kind of learn how we can actually build a collection. So this is my collection on collections. And so I wanted a space where people could go to and actually learn about what this tool is. And so collections is a curated group of resources that can be, so these are video clips from YouTube. This is a PDF document over here. When I scrolled further down, you'll see that there are also documents that are PDF documents. Essentially, any document that you can access through your Chromebook or through the web can be added to a collection. So if it's a teacher-generated Google Doc, you can add it to a collection. If it's a PDF, you can add it to a collection. If it's a website, you can add it to a collection. So what this allows us to do is to really just build a set of curated resources that we want to end up using with our students or with our peers, right? So it could be a curation or a collection on performance assessments, or it could be a curation on a book talk that we're engaged in. It's just this really perfect place to kind of house all of the resources that we want to give folks access to. And so in this example here, you can see that I have a bunch of resources that I've already curated. And so these, this one says start here, right? And how to use this. So if I click on this, this actually will bring me into that resource and show me exactly what I want folks to learn about this collection here. So I am going to kind of stop that so you don't have to see that. But it essentially says that a collection has the details for the collection. So this is the name of the collection. It's a public collection. And it's really about the how-tos of how to use collections, right? And it's it's really makes sense for all of the grades that I've selected there, pre-K to 12 teachers, and it's a different subject. It's not science, social studies, or whatnot. I can also go into this collection and edit the collection. I can copy it. I can delete it if I own the collection. And I can also look at the activity of the collection. So if I click on activity, I can see exactly what's kind of going on regarding the activity of the collection. And I can go through and I'll see that if I really scroll through, that at some point there were other folks that made copies of this collection and they've added it to their own collection. So I can go through and see everything that I've added or deleted. And then eventually I'll start seeing things like test created a copy of this collection. So it just lets you know who's made a copy of a public collection that you've created or a collection that you've shared with some of your colleagues. And so I can also, the last thing that I think is really neat here is I can also create a PDF of my collection, which really just takes my collection and generates a PDF document with all of these QR codes as well. So it's a live clickable linked document, but it also has QR codes that you can use. If you wanted to, you could provide this to parents at parent-teacher night, and they have a QR code that they can click right on, and any resources that you want them to see will actually show up right there. So there are clickable links here, but there's also the QR code that you can access, and it lets you know, like, here's the first document that I wanted people to see. Start here, how to use this collection. So it's really just another great tool regarding what you can do in a collection. So not only can you edit the details, but you can also go in and you can share this collection as well. So I can share this in Google Classroom. I can email this, right? Or I can actually share it with individual people, and I can give them editable rights or view rights as well. So if I wanted to share this with Adam right now, I can go in and is it 0, 1, or just 1? 1. Wait, let me unmute you.
It's 0, 1.
All right. And I can click on the invite option here and click done, and Adam will actually get an email that will let him actually go in and see that collection. So it's really a great opportunity for us to kind of share that out with folks and collaborate together. So it still has all of those collaboration tools that people really want to have access to in our school district, because we really believe in collaboration. So I don't think people would be take too kindly if I said, well, here are the resources that you need for something, and you can never add to it, or you can never take away from it. So so it's a great tool regarding that. So this collection has everything that you need to know about collections built into it. And what I'm really excited about is I've also, and I'm going to use the filter tool so I can filter down. So this works great. It's kind of messy though when you start sharing out. So I have some collections that have 65 items in them already. I don't want to share a collection to my entire classroom. So there's another tool in here that we're actually working with Follett to help develop. It's called LessonMore right now. It's probably going to change the name once it becomes a full-fledged, ready for prime time application. But here's a tool that I think will have tremendous value to teachers in the district. So I'm going to filter to the lesson plans. And when I do that, it actually filters any part of my collection that's labeled or tagged as a lesson plan. And this is what are collections and LessonMore. So if I click this link, it brings me to another tool called LessonMore. I can share this entire lesson with my students, and what this does is this walks them through step by step what I want them to do. So instead of sharing out 60 curated resources, I can share out this one lesson, and look what it has in here. So it says lesson 1 is what are collections and LessonMore. I click the right arrow, and this is an overview of collections. So I can actually play this right within the collection itself. So it's a set of slates. It's just like a slideshow. It's a set of slates that you can set up linearly, and kids don't have to go step by step. They can go from number 1 to number 4 if they wanted to, or they could go back, and it shows you I skipped number 3 here because it's not in green, right? Or they can go back and play this. They can pop it out so it's full screen, right? If I go to this next, it's just a text document. This next document illustrates some tips to keep you on the road to success. And I click on that. This document is really important for us as a Google district, because this document gives us some really key steps about setting privacy levels, right? And I'll get into that in a little bit, but this is a great document that teachers will want to actually use to help guide them in how they're going to use collections in conjunction with LessonMore. What's nice about it is you can download all of these. You'll have access to them just through the collection or through the LessonMore as well. So if I go back in here and go to the next slide, right, this tells you that Follett's also created some quick reference guides to use in collections. And you can actually go through and look at each one of those documents as well. So this really just gives you everything that I'm going over in the video, and all of the video clips that I've created actually are spelled out through the printed documentation as well, which is really nice. So let me go back to my lesson, and I can go through and finish out this lesson. And as I do, it lets you see that I've gone through every single step here, and I can actually go back and say, oh, what was that QR guide that I wanted? And you can just click on that slate as well. So what's nice about this is this allows you as a teacher now at this point to take the URL and share that out with your students in Google Classroom. So instead of sharing out a resource with 60 objects, you can share out just the 3 or 4 objects that you want kids to have access to. So it's really a nice connection to helping students to kind of personalize their process through a set of collected, curated materials. Let me go back here, and let me shut off my filter here so that I can see all of the resources and talk a little bit about this, and then back out and show you the process for creating a collection for yourself. So I can already see some comments from folks in the live chat where they're talking about they've already been added to some collections as collaborators. Somebody asked about making copies. One of the things that we want to be careful about regarding copies is that once you make a copy of a collection, it's your copy, and anything that the originator adds does not get ported out to your copy. So if it's a collection that's going to grow, as most of our curriculum work does, then what you really want to do is be a collaborator versus just copying it. Sometimes you will copy. This is also a great tool that kids can use because they can create their own collections regarding research. So this can be, their collection could be in conjunction with their bibliography page, because what they're basically doing is going out and sourcing and curating everything that they used to build their project together. All right, so here are the resources in a collection, right? So if I click on the 3 dots, I can always edit something, move it, copy it, delete it. So if I click edit, this is what I see every time I want to add to my collection. I can title it, It has a URL. I can also tell you what type of resource it is. So this is a video, but there are all kinds of opportunities in here for typing it. I can give a description of the resource as well, and then I can tag it, right? And I can have as many tags as I want to here. When I add resources from the web, it's going to pull the first 5 meta tags from that resource. So if it's a website on sharks, one of the meta tags will probably be shark, and that will show up automatically in the tab. And then I can also get rid of a tag if I don't want it in here, right? Like I could say, well, I really don't need, well, I don't want the YouTube tag. I could get rid of that and then save it. And there's my resource. So this is a great place to get started regarding kind of leading yourself through what a collection is. And I'm going to answer a couple of questions before we keep going. Adam and Michelle, do you guys have any questions before we go on? Let's unmute yourself first.
If we share a link with the kids, are they going to have to sign in order to click that link? Like when they click the link, are they going to go right to the resources, or are they going to have to sign into their Follett account?
So the great thing about when you share the link regarding a collection is that
resources, or are they going to have to sign into their Follett account?
So the great thing about when you share the link regarding a collection is that
resources, or are they going to have to sign into their Follett account?
So the great thing about when you share the link. All right, I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, you know what I think, Michelle, I'm going to mute you just for a second. I think I'm getting the feedback from that. So, so the great thing about that, Adam, is once you have that link, it's a live link. You can share that out with anyone. It can be a parent, it could be a student. They don't need access to Follett at all for that. So it's a live link that you can put on your website that anyone in the world can see, and they don't need to have Follett. So that's one of those great things about that tool, right? Is that you can do it that way. If you share it with them as collaborators, then they have to use their Destiny Discover account, and everyone in our school district has one. So whether you're a teacher or student, students have always and used them when they've signed out resources out of the library. So teachers are starting to really understand that they want to use their own accounts now as well. So another question, and then I'll get to you, Michelle, is if this is a Rhode Island tool, are we able to collaborate on collections with teachers from other districts? Absolutely. So Tracy, yes, you can collaborate, and you can collaborate with anyone who has a Destiny Discover account. So Follett's Destiny tool is utilized by over, I believe, and this is just off of the top of my head, I think it's 41,000 school districts across the country use Follett for their library management system. So anyone who has the latest iteration of Destiny Discover in their system can have access to this as well. So what's great about this tool, so people are asking questions about open educational resources as well, or OER resources, is that, so you'll notice that all of these are open educational resource tools, right? So it means that I've created them and I've put them on YouTube, or I've created them in Google Doc and shared them. There are other tools. So I'm going to go into my grade 3 biodiversity unit so that you can see that. So let me share my screen back with you. All right. So in this collection, you can actually see that some of these documents are Google Docs, right? If I start to scroll through, this is a YouTube video. These are web pages. And then when I start to go through, this gizmo is an actual district-owned resource that you have to log into, I can include it in a collection, and the only people that will have access to it is the people that have access to the resource. So in this case, anyone in the country could see this because I've made this public, but they're not going to be able to log into the gizmo unless they have access to that. If I start to scroll down, these are books from, this is a digital book from the school library. So if you have that digital book in your school library, you'll have access to it. I also believe that I might have some Mayan books in here that are books that we have access to through Mayan. So we can actually access those tools, but other school districts won't be able to access them. They'll see it as a resource, but they won't be able to access the resource. So again, this actually solves the problem of curating subscription-based tools and open educational resource tools. It allows you to put them in one place and then still be able to share them. And the people who can access them are the people with the rights to that as well. Michelle, do you want to ask a question? Just unmute yourself and then we'll mute you to.
Yeah, I'm still getting the double feedback from your voice. Is there a setting I can click on?
Ask a question? Even when you mute yourself and then we'll mute you to.
Yes. I'm still getting the double feedback from your voice. Is there a setting I can click on?
So make sure you don't have the YouTube feed going too at the same time.
Yes. I'm still getting. Okay, so how do I do that?
So see if another window is open. Make sure the YouTube feed going too at the same time. If it's still happening, you might just want to go to the YouTube feed. So see if another window is open. So you go back to my email and click on that. If it's still happening, you might. There's one that says YouTube feed and one that says Google Hangout feed. So you go back to the email and click on. That's crazy. I'm going to mute you. All right. So if you drop off, I'll completely understand. All right. So let me go into the process of creating or adding to a collection. Yeah, the YouTube feed should be fine. Thanks, Tracy. All right. So here is my collection, right? The first thing that you really need to do is understand how to add resources to a collection. And the best way to do that is to use something called the bookmarklet. And I'm going to go into my profile here. So I have directions on how to log into collections that you can look at in a minute or later on. When I go into the profile for my collections, there is this tool in here called a companion tool. It's install the bookmarklet. And when you click on install the bookmarklet, it actually shows you the bookmarklet and it shows you the directions for doing that. So you can click and drag this right up to your bookmark bar. So any browser with a bookmark bar will allow you to add that bookmarklet. And that bookmarklet is amazing because what that means is that you can, from any website, add to a collection. So I can actually say, oh, I want to add this Google Sheet to one of my collections, and I can go ahead and add it to my collection. All I need to do is click on the Add to Collections bookmarklet. When I do that, I'll get a pop-up window, and that pop-up window is negotiating with your collections, and it's saying, okay, here's the title for the collection. So it grabbed it right from my Google Doc. It says that it's a Google Sheet, and it says, where do you want to add this? So I can add it to a new collection by clicking Create a Collection, or I can go in and say, oh, I really know I want this as part of my Citizenship and Getting Along Grade 2 unit. So I click on that and I click the Add button. And when I do that, it allows me to X out and close that window out, or click on the Visit Collection option. And when I click on Visit Collection, it's going to open up that collection for me. and show that resource right there. And what's beautiful is it grabs the resources here, right? So it scraped a screenshot of the collection of that resource, right? It tells me the title. It gives me the actual URL here. And it gives me a description that it also pulled from the document. And if I needed to edit any of that, I can click on Edit and go through and edit any of that information except for the URL. The URL is non-editable, right? And I can cancel or save that to go back to that resource. So what's great about that is that any single resource that you have becomes something that you can add to your collection. Oh, and this is giving me an error message that says the name exceeds the maximum characters. So I might just want to say book resources, WWPS 4 unit of study, and I can get rid of this part and save it. And so it's going to put that back into my curated collection. And right now I only have one resource in here. So there are many different ways that you can add resources. You can click on the add button and add directly by a URL. You can upload from Google Drive or OneDrive. If you upload a document from Google Drive, so the first time it does that, it's going to ask you for information regarding that. I'm going to add a document right here that's basically a nonsense document. It's not public because I want you to see the difference between what happens when you add something that's not public. I click select. It grabs that. It's a document. I can give it a description. I click add. And what happens now is it's going to pull that document from my Google Drive. And let me get rid of this here and just click add again. I had the 65 character. You'll notice that it's not kind of what I want to see here. It doesn't have a nice scraped picture because it can't go into the document and pull a picture. So if you see this, you need to realize that you might have to change the settings of a document in Google to make that document so it's public. So usually a lot of the resources that you end up sharing here are public documents, and I want to get rid of this one now. So I'm just going to click delete it, edit, go to delete, and I can delete that resource from my resource list. So lots of great ways to actually build the resources within your document. So this is about citizenship. So I'm going to click on my a new tab and type in citizenship. Right, and it's going to go through and it's going to give me some options here, right? So what's really nice is this goes in and looks inside Destiny in the library collection and says that we have these books that we can add to our collection. We can actually go in there. So if you don't have, that you should have this enabled, we enabled it for everyone. If you can't see that, click the unhide option here. There are also different links from a regular web search. So if I wanted to go to the U.S. Immigration Apply for Citizenship site, I can actually go to the site and click Add to Collections, and it's going to allow me to add this. And it knows that I was just in the citizenship collection, so it's going to actually bring that one here. And I'm going to click Add. And now if I visit that collection again, I'll see that that resource got added, and it scrapes the picture from the website, and it added that resource to my document here. And again, you know, this might be a resource that you want for teachers, but not necessarily for students. So you might want teachers to be able to have quick access to that, or you might want your students to have access to it, but probably not for second grade students. Right, so Nicole actually made a good point regarding Google Docs, right? If you put a Google Doc in a collection that people don't have access to, when they go to it, it's going to let them know that they don't have access. They can request access from you. So you can put private documents in there and allow access by people individually requesting that, or you can make it so it's publicly viewable on the website as a view-only document, or it could be publicly viewable and editable on the website as well. So this is kind of how you go through the process of adding to a collection, right? So there's the using the bookmarklet, there's the clicking here and adding an uploaded file or right from Google Drive. But we haven't talked about how to create a collection yet. So I'm going to click back on the collections option here. And it's, again, going to go through and show me, my public collections first. I want to click on the private option and click on create a collection. And when I do that, it allows me to go through and build a new collection. So I know that I'm going to work with grade 5 teachers on a unit of study that's called viable communities. So I can go in and do a new unit of study. So WWPS grade 5 viable ecosystems. And I can make this private. I can make it available to anyone at my school. The district is the state of Rhode Island, so it's not just WWPS, or public. Right now I want to keep this private, and I'm going to go through the process of adding a description later. I can click continue and say that this is really something for grade 5 students, and it's science, and I'll include STEM and STEAM in here as well. I can click continue again, and I can choose a color palette for that, choose the light green, and then I can choose a photo from stock photos that Follett has included in here. Eventually, you'll be able to add your own pictures, but right now they're just stock pictures, and so I can go through and decide which one of these I want to use, and I think I'll use this one here. And click create, and what that's done is that's created a new collection, and I can go in and make changes to this, or I can go in and just start sharing it out with folks. So if I click share, I can decide how I want to share this. So right now, it's letting everyone know that I'm the only one who has access to this. So I want to say anyone with the link can view it, and I can copy this and send it out to anyone I want to, or again, I can add people and give them the editing rights that I want them to have. So I know that Lynn Bernardin's a 5th grade teacher, so I want to share this out with Lynn. And invite her, and she's going to get a link that invites her into this unit of study. And I'll add all of the other 5th grade teachers later on. So there's really just an incredible amount of power into creating and using this collection tool with your colleagues and with your students, and even eventually with parents as well. And in fact, everything that I'm doing in here, I've also added to a Google Classroom. So I created a Google Classroom called WWPS Curriculum and Technology, and everything that I wanted in this how-to collection, I've added to this Google Classroom. And so I think my point regarding this is that this just allows us multiple opportunities to put this information so it's readily available and accessible to the people we want it to be available to. And again, I can take this link and put it on my website as well. So I think that's kind of the overview of what collections look like, how you can actually access them. I can go through other parts of it if people have questions. Once you start building collections, you're really going to want to also go into LessonMore. And I have some videos in my collection on collections and LessonMore that really go through the process of explaining what LessonMore is. And right now, LessonMore is only a tool that we really are using in West Warwick. So Nicole says, oh, a collections for digital citizenship would be a great idea. So I'm going to be doing some presentations to parents on keeping your children safe regarding our one-to-one environment. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, start building that collection that they'll have access to as well. In here, you'll see that there are some LessonMore videos. So how to create lessons in LessonMore. I haven't edited them to this quality of some of the other videos, so they're just straight raw video of me doing a screencastify. But I really think that once you start using collections, you're going to want to use the LessonMore tool because it really will help you share things out. Just think about this. If I shared this out with all of my students and there were 30 items in there and they were kindergarten kids, they would not know, what resources I wanted them to access at this point. So the LessonMore tool helps us really kind of spread it out in bite-sized chunks for kids. All right, so any questions from folks who are following along on the YouTube video, or Adam, that you want me to address right now? So it really looks like I've answered the questions that folks posted earlier. How do we log in? Great question, Tracy. I can't believe I missed that one. All right, so there are a few ways to log in. So let me do this first. Let me show you one of the easiest ways that I access this. And there are directions in here too, right? So like, accessing collections using the Chrome extension from Destiny Discover. So if you just do a search, again, I'll do this on plants. Here's my search. Once I do that, if you don't see this black box here, it's because you've hidden the Destiny Discover search option. Just click show, and it's going to show you books that we have access to regarding plants. It'll let you know, like, this is an ebook, right? And this is a regular book. If you click you can click directly on the item. If you click the view via Destiny Discover, it's going to bring you to Destiny Discover. And once you do that, it will actually bring you to an option to log in. So if I click on the login option here, it's going to bring me to a login screen. So for teachers in our school district, WWA and your cert number, or WWA and your staff ID number is your username, and your password is the same thing. So WWA and your ID, which you can get right out of Aspen if you need to, is your username and your password. Once you click the submit option there, it actually will bring you into Destiny Discover. And what's great about this is it's going to show you all of the resources in that search that you did that will show up here. So these are books that I have access to, and I can see all of the books. These are ebooks that I have access to, and I can see all of the ebooks. These are databases that our library system are connected to, and I can see all of those accesses. These are actual open educational resources that have already been added and viewed through Follett that you can access. And then these are collections that I already can see are connected to that topic of plants. So the grade 2 collection that I've created. And there's also a public grade 8 science on water treatment and sewage that I can look at. I can go in and look at all of the options there. So if I wanted to add one of the ebooks, I could click on See All. And I know that this is a book that everyone has access to. I can click on Open, so I can view it, or I can click on Add to Collection, and it's going to say, what collection do you want to add it to? And I want to add it to my grade 2 life cycles of plants. Click Add, and it just added that resource to that collection. So you can access it by doing a Google search, or you can also access it from the RICAT webpage, which is www.ricat.net. And you'll see your school's name here. So West Warwick High School and John F. Deering Middle School are all one site. So click here. The elementary schools are listed here. So if you were John F. Horgan Elementary School, you just find it, click on your school. Once you get to the school's splash page, just click the login button again. And again, you just go through that process of logging in. And once you log in here, you'll actually want to click the catalog option so that you can see Destiny Discover over to the left in the menu bar. And then you can access it by clicking on the Destiny Discover tool. And again, what's nice is that you'll also see that you can go right to collections from the menu bar on the side. If I click collections, it's going to bring me right into my collections there. So there are lots of different ways to access that. So a question was, where do you find the ID number in Aspen? You just log into Aspen, go to the staff view, and click on My Info, and you're going to see your staff ID number listed right there. It'll say ID. And for 99.9% of you, it's your certification number. They're the same numbers. All right. Any other questions? Yep, it's a local identifier. So I can actually show you that right now. So if I log into Aspen and I go to my staff view and I click on My Info and you click on your name, it's going to give you details about your record. So if I click on my details, you can see that my staff ID, my local identifier is right there. So it's going to be the state ID, the staff ID, or your cert number there. So try WWA lowercase with that number, WWA lowercase with that number for your username and your password. And Tracy, if it doesn't work, let me know and I'll go in and fix it for you right now. If you don't have a number, you can contact, put in a help desk ticket or contact your librarian in your school and they'll be able to help you right away as well. All right, Adam, we'll talk because you moved buildings several times, so that's probably what it is. So I'll just assign you to the right building. All right, any other questions? Trace, you, Adam, and I can Google Hangout in a minute once we finish with the call and get you going. All right, well, I appreciate everyone's time. I hope this was valuable. Share the love with your colleagues. I really think this will be a great tool for us, and especially in conjunction with LessonMore as well. So have fun with your kindergartners, Nicole. Thanks. All right, folks. So hope you found it usable, and go in and check out all of those resources within the collections that I've already shared with you. So Adam and Tracy will connect in 2 minutes. Bye, everyone.